Hello everyone, and welcome to my Magicka Nightblade PvP build guide. As I usually do now, I will start with sets, then we'll move on to skills, and will give my class review in the end of the video. Written build with all the other useful stuff will be in the description. Okay, let's start. I think it's safe to say that Nightblade in ESO is a definition of critical damage, so there is not much point doing any other builds than the crit ones. That's why my first set on this build will be Order's Wrath. This set is so ridiculously good and easy to get that it's actually funny that Zos made it craftable and with only 3 traits needed for search. Truly one of the best damage sets in the game in general and in PvP as well, which you can slap on a lot of builds, basically transferring them into crit builds. This set gives a lot of crit chance, 1 line of damage, and on the 5 piece it gives plus 8% crit damage and hidden done. If you are also playing Khajiit, it's another 12% crit damage and hidden. With the Race Against Time it's another 10%, and with Shadow Mandus without any divine traits it's another 11%. So it's 42% crit damage. To say how insane it is, I will say this. I play Dark Elf and I don't use Race Against Time, and even with that I hit very hard. So there is no reason at all to not go this set for Magblade. However, I started using this set only now, and before I was using Glow of the Forest Wraith, which is also craftable. That set is kinda similar to Order's Wrath, but it doesn't give damage line, and on 5 piece it gives a lot of crit chance. Honestly, that set is also very good, and I was doing absolutely OP damage with it as well. Other options would be Medusa, if you don't want to use Race Against Time, but want Minor Force active at all times. But only on frontbar though, since you're probably going to 1 bar at that set. Mother's Sorrow works here too, for example if you have that set from ages ago and it's lying without any use. But honestly, I wouldn't run anything else other than Order's Wrath here at this point. Although, like I said, other options I just named are decent as well. As my backbar set I use Rallying Cry, yet again. I use it almost on all of my builds, except maybe on Decay. And this set is arguably the best PvP set in the game that gives you great defense and offense. As my monster set I use 2-piece recovery sets, Baron Thirsk and Magma Incarnate. You can also try using Engine Guardian or Roksa. Roksa should be better than what I'm using right now, but you need to build stacks for it, which takes I think 30 seconds of being in combat. I honestly think it's not a problem, and I might get that set eventually and use it instead of my 2 recovery pieces. As my mythic I use Marking Driven Majesty, which gives me damage and armor, and 1-piece Trainee to finish my gear. Now let's talk about skills. On the front bar I have Killer's Blade, Camouflage Hunter, Concealed Weapon, Merciless Resolve, Power Extraction, and as my ultimate I use Incapacitating Strike. Killer's Blade is our execute and kinda flex spot. I know some people playing without it and doing absolutely fine. I might be wrong, but I have a feeling like not a lot of people are using it at all. But I personally love the skill and it helps me to secure a lot of kills. There is just something wrong for me to chase a guy with spamming Concealed Weapon over and over. Although it hits like a truck and there is no problem to do so, it just feels not good for me. I didn't really like to play like that much. Also, even though Concealed Weapon is strong, Killer's Blade in the execute range is much stronger in my opinion. Also, it heals you for quite a bit after you execute someone, so that's very nice as well. But if you don't mind to play without it, you can drop it for any other good skill Nightblade has. I will talk about other skill options a bit later. Camo Hunter is here for crit buff, damage passives and for cloak Nightblades as usual. Concealed Weapon is the bread and butter on Magblade and the main reason why it's considered better than Stunblade by many. It is because it gives 10% damage bonus after leaving Sneak, Invisibility or casting the ability while Major Expedition is active. It's still unnamed 10% bonus, but I think in the new patch Zos will change it to being Major Berserk, which is same 10% but not a unique buff this time. Which is still good to be honest, especially in PvP. Another cool thing is this skill gives us Minor Expedition just by being slotted on our bar, which increases our movement speed by 15%, so it makes you much quicker. And buffed with Refreshing Path or Race Against Time, you will be flying on 45% movement speed, which is absolutely insane. So mobility for Nightblade is one of its stronger sides. And if you thought it's all that skill does, then you are wrong. Thanks to Nightblade's passive, casting any shadow ability grants you Magic Resolve for 6 seconds, increasing your physical and spell resistance by almost 6k, with duration increased by 25% for each piece of heavy armor equipped. So it doesn't really matter if you wear even one heavy armor piece, like I do for example, because as long as you're doing damage you will have Magic Resolve buff active on you basically at all times. Merciless Resolve is our burst damage skill. After you do 5 light attacks, you build stacks for Spectral Bow, and then you can activate it to hit incredibly hard. When playing against Nightblades, people usually complain about their crit damage and especially about their absurd bow procs damage and uncaps, which is absolutely true. They do be hitting hard. Our Extraction is our damage buff, but also can be used as a damage skill itself. It gives us minor courage, increasing our weapon and spell damage by 215. It also gives us major brutality and sorcery. And it debuffs our enemies, reducing their damage done by 215 weapon spell damage. Also, on top of that, it kinda does decent damage. But I would advise to not use it often since it costs stamina and we don't really have a lot of stamina on Magblade. And as my ultimate I use Incapacitating Strike, which simply does a lot of damage with a possibility to even one-shot some low HP geniuses, or to shot someone else if followed by Execute or Concealed Weapon. Really strong skill, which also gives us Magn's time recovery when we light attacking and also stuns the target when it's being cast with a higher amount of ultimate than the skill's actual cost. On my backbar I have Healthy Offering, Refreshing Path, Resolving Vigor, Siphoning Attacks, Elemental Susceptibility, and as my ultimate I use Temporal Guard. Healthy Offering is simply one of the strongest burst heals in PvP in my opinion. Although it drains your HP for some time after using it, it's barely noticeable, but the massive heal you get from it is very noticeable. On top of that, this skill gives us minor mending, increasing our healing done by 8% for 10 seconds, which is also super useful. Refreshing Path is our heal over time, speed and recovery booster, and our way to proc damage bonus on Concealed Weapon. I like this skill a lot, and it actually heals for quite a bit as well. Also, same as our spammable, it activates Nightblade Major Resolve passive. Resolving Vigor is our another burst heal and pre-buff that gives us minor resolve, which increases our armor. Siphoning Attacks is our heal over time and recovery skill. This is also kinda a flex spot, and you can switch it for something else if you want. I personally like this skill and I was playing with it all the time. Elemental Susceptibility is our Mage Breach skill as well as provider of useful status effects. And finally, Temporal Guard is our ultimate, which gives us 5% damage reduction, shield when you're blocking, and escape possibility when you are in a bad situation. Here you can also use Soul Tether as your AoE damage and healing ultimate if you'd like. Here are other good skill options. Phantasmal Escape gives us Snare immunity for 4 seconds, Major Evasion for 20 seconds, which reduces AoE damage we take by 20%, and while active, taking direct damage reduces the cost of your next roll dodge by 10%, up to a maximum of 100%. This effect can stack every half second. I personally didn't really find the use for that skill. In my opinion, there's other skills which are much better to use, but if you think it's what you need, you can go for it. It's still a pretty decent skill. Shadowy Disguise is infamous Nightblade Cloak, which is your free pass from every bad situation you are in. It makes you invisible for 3 seconds, and your attack within 3 seconds after it will be a critical strike. On top of that, it will also grant you 300 weapon and spell damage after leaving invisibility if you are a vampire. A very strong and unique skill, which can be utilized with a lot of success. I used to play with it on my Stunnblade, but on Magblade I found myself abusing it a lot, and it was no fun to play. Instead, I chose to play with Refreshing Path. Regardless, it's an amazing skill, which is very often too good to not use on all Nightblades in PvP, so I might eventually start using it again. Shadow Image is actually one of very underrated in my opinion Nightblade skills, which I like a lot and ironically not using on this build. I would use it if I had the space for it. So, same as Cloak, I might experiment with my skill bars and start using it again. What it does is similar to Cloak, it gives you a way to escape, and in some situations it can be even cooler and more useful than Cloak. Plus, it also does damage, applying minor maim, which reduces enemies' damage done to you by 5%, and it also procs Nightblade's Major Resolve passive. Race Against Time is one of the skills most Nightblades will most certainly use on their builds. I was trying to play with it too, and I would definitely use it if I could find a place for it on my panels. which is an issue for Nightblades as you can see. But yeah, if you have a place for it, for sure you can use it. It's a very good skill you can use on every class. Now let's get to class overview. Nightblade is currently considered one of the better PvP classes, and I agree with it completely. And their strongest side is of course their damage, which is absolutely insane. Like I said, even if you don't run Khajiit, Nightblade will hit very hard because of their already high crit damage. Often they do just great damage, but sometimes they can basically one-shot or two-shot people, which not many classes can do. Other thing I really like about Nightblades is their skill toolkit. No need to run a special skill for weapon and spell damage, no need to run a skill for armor, no need to run Dawnbreaker as well, because they have strong class ultimate. In general, Nightblades have a lot of great skills, all of which you can even put on your bar. And basically every one of their skills gives a lot of other good things other than their main use, which is super OP. Finally, I want to mention Nightblade's mobility and stealth potential, that they can easily leave a lot of tricky situations and then attack when enemy doesn't expect it. The only thing you can arguably say it's not the best on Nightblade is its survivability and tankiness. I don't think Nightblades have ever been known as tanky class in PvP. And although they are pretty decent at surviving, and with Cloak or Shadow Image you won't have any problems escaping all tricky situations, while playing it without those skills and as a brawler, you really need to know the class very well and wisely evaluate your situation while you are fighting. To know when to retreat, when to heal, when to YOLO, when to kite, and so on. Some people say Nightblade and especially Magblade is a high skill class, and I kinda agree, but also not really. For me personally, I don't think it's the case. Comparing to Necro or Warden, Nightblade doesn't have that many buffs to manage, and its combo flows naturally. For me at least. Anyway, keep that in mind while you're playing it. In conclusion, Nightblade is one of my top 3 favorite classes in the game, and in PvP as well. I like to play it, I like its damage and the cheeky stuff it can do in fights. Highly recommend to try it out and experiment with different skills and playstyles for your own liking. And that's all I have to say for now. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye.
Yes, for each and every cat that I know, this be visionary. This be very specific in words versus some cats that be fictionary. Rock it with my man Combo. We'll put our foot all up in your crack to give that ass more soul. While playing humble, watching most cats fumble. And regardless of the gender, when we rockin' this for the crowd contenders. Yo, there's always gonna be a cat that wanna come back. Too late, I'm up in the batter box where cats get shattered with blocks. Can't kick, prove me up a track and jack, be ready to rock. I see y'all playing that slap shit, knowing y'all can't even box.